Hey everyone, Merry Christmas. A couple days after Christmas, just wanted to touch base on a bit of an uproar happening in the nerd community. ChatGPS and a bunch of AI is now creating art AI. And I wanted to talk about art creation, the concerns that are legitimate, what real creators of art can do in a world where art is going to be generated to a large degree and fantastically by AI, what that means, how do you make money with it, how do you handle that as a creator, as a content creator. So part of that, let me explain what AI art is. You can give instructions for anything that you want, and the AI art will create it based on a living, breathing set of code. Not living, breathing like you and I with a heartbeat, but a cumulatively learning piece of code that continues to evolve. So if you say, I want a picture of LeBron James dunking on Michael Jordan during a hockey game. That can actually be created and sent up and put together in seconds. Even in the Da Vinci mode, it takes 30 seconds maybe to create it, depending on how busy the API in the system is. So obviously, this puts creators of real art at a fairly big disadvantage because they can't create it as fast, and often they can't create it as well. You're going to see a weeding out of this world where and a change and some alterations. One, things had already changed for artists with NFTs. Now NFTs sort of spiked and now they're sort of crashed. They've crashed like 90 some percent. They'll come back because the beauty of the NFTs are that you can have digital art, individual pieces, unique, one of a kind pieces, keep the ownership of that, or have that digital piece of art represent a physical piece of art in the real world and validate the ownership between the two of them, using something as simple as a QR code. But it could be any, type of barcode, etc. And, have that be a piece of thing on the web that can be sold and resold. Now, typically in the real world, artists don't make money on a resale. You sell it once, you make your money. Somebody else sells it later for millions of dollars more. You, as the artist, don't make money. So if your stock goes up, you won't make any additional money on your old paintings, which usually a lot of time happens later in an artist's life. But sometimes artists become featured at a gallery, and all of a sudden their works that they were selling for $5, $10 are now worth 500,000, $1 million. So with NFTs, you could resell them, and the artist could say, "I'm going to take 5% of the ongoing sales. If anybody resells this, I get 5% of what they resell it for." So if it gets resold multiple times, the artist can make continual income. So that's the good part about technology and art and artists. With musicians or anything else, is you can actually monetize your content over and over again over a period of time and know it because it's done through the blockchain. So when it happens, you don't have to keep track and be like, "Hey, you sold my art, you owe me five." It's just done through a smart contract. It's all automated. The downside is now you're going to have AI art that's going to put a lot of artists at a big disadvantage. I think the artists that make it will A, take the AI art and build on top of it. B, be better than the AI art, and there are some out there that will, at listening, asking questions, getting all the details out. Because one of the things with AI art is the user needs to know what they want and then explain it to a computer. Computer's not going to ask you questions back. It's not going to say, "Well, what are your favorite colors? How big do you want this to be? Do you want it in oil?" Computer's just going to give you the image representation of whatever inputs you've put in. With an artist, they can say, "Okay, is this a custom piece that's going to go here? What size dimension? Do you want it to reflect? Do you want it not to reflect?" So it's probably going to affect people. And it's not probably, it's definitely going to affect people that do more graphical art for logos, for commercial purposes. And there's a big amount of artists that do that type of stuff. But even on the logo side, you're going to want to interact with the person who's doing your logo and give them specific instructions. It's not going to affect people that are doing oil paintings and things like that as much. Just not, because the AR doesn't do oil paintings. It's doing a digital representation. But album covers, event covers, things like that will, to a large degree, be done through AI. And then at that point, you may still hire an artist to say, look, you tell this thing what to do. And then when it comes out, add some graphics over it, fix it so that it looks professional. So in a lot of ways, the artist can actually utilize the AI piece, uh, frame it, make it more professional, focus on some of the details like event time, event start, location, other things that they wouldn't spend as much time on because they're busy putting together the actual visual art and maybe even doing some enhancements over top of what came back to be able to make things better. So, in essence, the artist now becomes an art manager, project manager, as opposed to just a pure artist. And that frees you up to be able to do some other creative stuff as well. Because again, these are artists, they have great eye for art. So they understand what will work or what will not for different purposes. Not every piece of art is going to work for print. Not every piece of art is going to work for a logo. And that's what you have people with good eyes for things to do. This is going to happen right now, starting with your standard stuff, your visual pictures, your JPEGs, etc. And it's going to move eventually into music where you say, I want this beat to be my foundation, this BPM, this is the artist's voice I like, these are the words, and you'll have an AI piece that will actually generate a piece of music for you. Even then, you're going to need a musician to come in behind and fix it up, clean it up for you. So I see similar value for the art community moving forward. We're going to be playing in this space quite a bit, but I wanted to talk to kind of the artists that are out there, give them a quick rundown on some of the positives. I understand that there's some concerns. Positioning yourself differently will help, but you're still going to be needed. Great artists always are. All right, everybody. God bless. Have a great night. We'll do this again soon.